The place we interned unintentionally is called homeland, but the place we choose at our will is called a foreign country. Hi, I'm Kian and this is Every Film's Made Twice. I am Iranian and like Iranian films. In this video I wanna talk about The Low Heights. Qasim, who is in financial trouble, wants to leave the country with his family. He buys flight tickets to Bandar Abbas for all of his family members and relatives and tells them that he has found jobs for them in Bandar Abbas. Unaware of Qasim's intention, they board the plane, and after a while, Qasim hijacks the plane with a gun and asks the pilot to fly to Dubai. With the vigilance of one of the in-flight security officers, Qasim loses control of the plane, and the flight route is changed, but the plane is damaged and may crash at any moment. Ahvaz Bandar Abbas domestic flight was hijacked on 13 December 2000. About 14 people led by Khaled Ardani took control of the plane and demanded to leave the country. They decided to refuel in Dubai and then go to a European country. The plane enters Dubai airspace, but before landing, the in-flight security officers regain control of the flight in a bloody conflict, and the plane is diverted to Iran. No one was killed in the clash, but several people were injured and several shots were fired at the plane, forcing the pilot to make an emergency landing on an island in the Persian Gulf. Iranian forces arrived and arrested all the hijackers. Following the trial, 4 hijackers were sentenced to death and the rest to prison. A few years later, when the death sentences were going to be carried out, Ebrahim Hatamikia, the director of this film, asked the head of the judicial system to stop the execution, which was agreed, and their sentences were reduced to 20 years in prison. The hijackers were released a few months ago after serving their sentences. They have always stated that their motive was financial, not political problems. One of them, who has now been released, told that Khaled Ardani said at the time of his arrest, "We gambled and lost." The film was made in the early 2000s when the political struggles between the left parties, reformists, and the right parties, fundamentalists, were at their height. Economic problems, especially unemployment and high prices, had made people's lives difficult, but the politicians were just uttering their own words and engaging in political struggles without solving the people's problems. The demands of the people were lost in the midst of political strife. The Low Heights, in addition to directly referring to poverty and unemployment, also points to the indifference of the authorities, as if they have other concerns. The first in-flight security official is a symbol of these authorities. When he succeeds in taking control of the plane from Qasim, he goes to the cockpit. The plane has sat at Dubai airport and needs fuel, but the security official threatens the pilot with the gun and forces him to fly again and says, "When my country's reputation is in danger, nothing matters to me anymore." It seems it doesn't matter to him even if the plane crashes in the middle of the flight. The important thing is not to land in a foreign country and to maintain the authority of the security officials. After that, this security official returns to the passenger cabin and separates those who wanted to go to a foreign country with Qasim from the other passengers. He wants revenge and does not wait for the plane to land and the court is formed. Passengers who are tired of the security officials' vindictive behavior are protesting. One of them says, "Now is it your turn?" It is as if the hijacker and the security official treat the passengers in the same way after coming to power. The problems of the people of Khuzestan, which was the first part of Iran to be invaded by Iraq during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, continued long after the end of the war. The destruction of buildings, water shortage, and unemployment remained unresolved. Qasim cites economic problems as the reason for the hijacking. He points to the hardships of the people of Khuzestan after the war, and in response to one of the passengers who says that he also wants to emigrate with Qasim, says, "Are you also an unemployed person from Khuzestan?" There is a dialogue that Qasim tells the travelers, and it is so brilliant that I prefer to quote it directly. This is the story of a man who wants to emigrate with his wife and children, a forced migration, like our ancestors. But they were lucky. They went wherever they wanted. But now there are walls everywhere. They are asking for money for visa, but this poor man has only one asset, and that is his life. When the plane is forced to make an emergency landing, Nargis, Qasim's wife, who was pregnant, feels pain, labor pain. And when the plane lands, her baby is born. The film tells about an hour and a half about problems, disputes and conflicts. But in the last quarter we see the birth of a child, maybe a restart. Hatem Ikea had once said in an interview, "Finally I put a window of hope in my films. Perhaps this child is that window." It is not clear where the plane landed, sea, mountain, forest or desert. Each passenger sees a different place when they look out of the plane window, but Nargis sees the seagulls from the bloody window of the plane. In general, this ending is not consistent with the plotline. A thrilling socio-political story with an imaginative and somewhat fantasy ending. It does not make sense to see a baby is born unhurt in those circumstances, and to see each passenger sees the landing area differently. However, the film is able to attract the audience's attention and both excite them and convey its socio-political words to them. Conclusion: if your wife is pregnant, do not think of hijacking.